Welcome back to another episode of building a village simulator game. In our last episode, we got it to where the villager would take items to a storehouse, and the storehouse would keep track of what was being put in there, or how many berries, or how many pieces of wood. What I would like to do for this episode is to maybe display the total number of resources and then begin working on using those resources to actually build something. Off screen really quick, I just made a script called the UI manager, and we're just going to use it for some testing for our UI. First I'll create an empty game object. Let's just reset the transform, call this UI manager. Whoops. There we go. And let's add that UI manager to this game object. Change to that. And let's go into the script. Alright, so what we want to do, we're going to do this in the map manager. We're going to do a public dictionary, and we're going to do a string. This is going to be kind of like what we do with the storehouses, but this is going to store all of the items we have, and we're going to call it resources. How about total resources? It's not the best name because we might have some things in our storehouses that aren't resources, or there might be some things that aren't even in storehouses. So total resources equals new dictionary. Alright, let's make this might be a private void set total actually we might make this public, and we might have this set total storage. Alright, and we might send it a string called resource and call it int and amount. So what this will do is kind of do something similar to what the storage object does. Trying to see where I place that. Okay, something like this. And instead of that, we want to say resources. And we want to say resource. Let's see. Total resources. And this is going to be the let's see, this should be this. So maybe we don't need an amount, we just had a resource. It only does one at a time. I would rather do amount, just so that we have that flexibility if we want to add more than just one. add time. And let's change this to amount. Also creates a new, this would create a new one. This is going to just add to it. So we're going to say plus equals amount. And we're going to call this after here, add resource to total resources. So set total resources. We're going to send it the resource dot source name. We need the amount. In this case, we're only ever doing one. That might change. Alright, so now in our UI manager, we're going to be using the Text Mesh Pro. And let's see, how do we want to do this? We might want to do this dynamically where it creates a void. We're going to do a void set or create resource, and this might just be temporary for now. Create resource text. Alright, and what we want to do is we're going to do a public private dictionary of strings. We're going to call it resource and Text Mesh Pro TMP text. We're going to call this resource text, which equals, okay, you don't do this. Resource text equals new dictionary. Alright. So let's see. Down here, we're kind of doing the same thing. I wonder if there's a, well, it will be a little bit different. Okay. We want to let's see, map. I think we want to do map manager dot instance. So we're going to get the instance of the map manager and get the resources, total resources, dictionary there. No, that's not what we want to do. We want to loop through, I think we want to loop through each of them. Loop through all the storage object resources. Let me just grab this. Care. Okay. And then just if map manager contains let's say if it does not contain that name, does not contain, let's see, resource dot key. So if it doesn't have it, then we're going tm protext dot text. Let's just say temp text. Trying to think of how to. We actually need to make a game object, don't we? Game object temp text geo is equal to new game object, and then we want to, this will equal a new tmp text. Why doesn't it like that? Cannot create an instance of an abstract type or interface. Okay. We're going to say, let's see, tmp text.go.add component tmp text. I'm actually not sure if this, I've never actually created a text mesh pro by code before, so we'll see if this works. This is going to equal tmp text pro go get component tmp pro. Delete all this. So if this does not contain this resource name yet, we're going to create this. We're going to say tmp pro temp text, actually temp text go dot text. Now actually let's not do it this way. We're going to do a serialized field. We're going to make this a little bit, we're just testing anyway, so let's make this a little bit easier. TMP text, we're going to say resource text. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to make this a lot easier. Alright, for each of those, that's good. We're going to delete this. We're just going to say show resource text, and we're going to say resource text dot text is equal to we're going to say resource dot key plus, we're basically just doing this debug here. We're basically just doing this. resource. We want to do a plus. We want to say resource text dot text is equal to blank, and then this is going to be plus resource dot value. And the last thing we're going to do is I think it's that, so that we do a character, we do a return on it. Let's just say show resource text. Save it. Go back to our Unity. Let's go to create the TM Text Pro. We'll call this resource text. Let's just move it. Let's see. Let's move it to the top somewhere. Let's anchor it there. Let's just stretch this out. Let me go to the UI manager and we'll add this here. Let's play and see if we get any errors. There ain't no errors. Let's edit that. Let's gather some resources here. Let's see if it'll update that. Alright, there we go. Okay, good. Let's just test that out a little bit more. Okay, that seems to be working. Actually, let's test this. Well, I can't really test that yet because he's always going to go to the first storage, so let's not worry about that right now. Let's just make this text a little bit smaller. Let's do 18. Okay, so now let's get to where we can check if we, let's get this building thing going. I'm thinking in our objects we might have something called a building blueprint. Let's just call it blueprint. And so before it's actually built, and this is going to inherit interactable. Let's think. We might not need this. Okay, in our building, we need a public list of public list of resources called resources. Let's build resources. I guess and then we want a public list events build amount. Actually, we might just it like that. Public int build num. Okay. So this is, let's just list of all resources needed. List of all list of amount for each resource. And then this will be building ID, building num, building ID. The ID num for which building to build. Okay. Alright, so this gets kind of a little bit complicated. What we want to do is, instead of instantly building the building, we want the user to click where they want to build, and it creates this kind of blueprint of where it's going to be built. Then the AI is going to gather the resources and take it to the blueprint. So the blueprint is going to be interactable, where the action is to carry and add the resources. And drop it off. But it only drops off certain resources. This could inherit from the storage object, because the storage object already stores objects, and then the AI would only carry resources that blueprint needs. If that makes sense. So it's like a storage object is going to store those objects there until it's completely built. So this is the list of build resources, build amount. It already has that dictionary. So we need to somehow check private void check amount. So it's going to check the amount, whether or not it has alright, this might be public, because maybe our villager will check it. So this might return a string. Alright, this is going to say, instead of check, we're going to say get resource amount. Just return blank in case it doesn't work. Let's say, how do we want to do this? Maybe we write some pseudocode. Oh man. Well, the AI is going to need to be kind of smart. This is just going to check to see what resources we need. So check building resource. Okay, so check building resource. Check building resource, or actually loop through all build resources. So we're going to loop through them all. If resource if storage amount is not full, return the string so that it knows that it needs to get that resource. Okay. So let's see. For I is build resources dot count. If this storage, if resources let's change this to string. If build resources I is equal to is less than the build amount I, we're going to return build resources I. So this says, I think that makes sense. So loop through all of them. If we find a building resource in our storage, remember our storage is part of this. Okay. All right, I'm trying to think of when it should how it should trigger. So let's just test this out. So in my map manager, we have a building prefabs, and we're going to have a building blueprint prefabs. So I have a list of them. Let me go here and I'll just drag this out here. We'll test it with, actually let's test it with the house first. Let's do create a new folder here, clean this out. We're going to say buildings, so the house and the storehouse, create a folder, We're going to say blueprints, and let's add this. Let's unpack it. Let's change it to house blueprint instead of a building. Let's remove this component. Let's add a blueprint to it. The action is going to be store. Okay, building resources, we're going to say wood, and then this is going to be say it needs 5, whoops, and there's going to be 5. Alright, that looks good so far. Blueprints, let's add this to here. Let's remove this, remove it. Whoops. And then add that to the blueprints, building blueprints. Actually, let me rename that. Let's just call it, I totally, blueprints. And I'm going to have to add that again. Okay. So we have that. Now let's go to our click manager, click detector. And when we're adding the building, we want to go, let's go to our map manager. We're going to change this up a little bit. This is called build. Does it actually create the object? It does. Because right now it's just instantaneously doing it. Let's just change this to create blueprint, and we're going to say blueprint num. I know you could just do it replace, but let me just do it this way. Okay, and instead of instantiate the building prefab, we want to do the blueprint. Blueprint prefab. Blueprint. Okay, how did I name it? Blueprints. No, blueprint prefabs. Okay, so that's basically adds the blueprint. One thing we want to do is change this color. Actually, we're going to do like a gray version of it. We do have an error. Okay, right, we don't have that anymore. It's called create blueprint. Let's save it. Let's test this out. Okay, let's do that. Let's go back to our map manager project. We need to add this blueprint. Let me go to my click detector. Let me save. Let me go here. Alright. Building, let's just set to 0. Okay. Kind of doesn't work. Just make sure. I don't see a width and a height. For my blueprint. What am I missing here? This is why, because this is not a building. Let's just get let's get that. This is the interactable. A building was not an interactable. I'm not even sure if we need this, but let's see. Let's change this to 1 by 1. Building ID is 0. Go back to my grid. Why is it doing that? I'll tell you why. Because when it's checking, it's let's go to the map manager. See, we're sending a building to it, and so building, we want to change this to blueprint. Blueprint prefabs. I'm sorry. We just want to call this blueprint building. Blueprint prefabs. Blueprint. Okay. And then when we check building, we're going to say blueprint. And let's say check build location. Let's change that. Check build location. Change that name. Okay. Let's save it. No, we need to change this to instantiate, yeah, blue, that's right. Set grid, build, yeah. Okay. Let's go here. All right, there we go. All right, we're going to put a pause here. We'll try to finish this up in our next episode. Thanks again for watching.